Come take a bite of my gingerbread house and let your troubles fade away. Let your mind get away from the fall. I say welcome to the void. Did you know that Peter Pan can fly? He just pats himself with dust. I'll get you some if you're a very good boy, and if in me you put your trust. I say welcome to the void. I say welcome to the void.
Hello YouTubers, and this is my review of Morgan's 1969 release self-titled album, which is probably, in my opinion, one of the greatest albums ever made that never ever gets mentioned. This album blew me away. Now, Morgan is a band that this is their only release they ever did, and it's really sad because this band was awesome. It consisted of Steve Morgan on vocals and lead guitar, Barry Stock on rhythm guitar, Renee Genosa on bass, and Bob Mainman on drums. This band hailed from Long Island, New York. It was one of the few bands that was signed to Probe Records, which was an ABC subsidiary company back in the late 60s, and pretty much after this was the only, I think, one of the very few albums that ever got released out of that. Now, it consists of a few songs. Starts off with Welcome to the Void. Now, this song is awesome, heavy psych, really great track, great bass opening. The drumming on this album is absolutely stellar. Like, there's very few songs or parts where the drumming is weak. It's a great song. It has a lot of fairy tale and a lot of Disney aspects to it, which is really good. I really enjoyed the song and the guitar playing on it. Like, he'd put out parts like, well, you know, Peter Pan could fly, and afterwards it's always a and it's a really great fills. Like, the rhythm's good, the fills are good. Now on to song 2 of Dreams, which the opening was really good, and I really like the singing and the guitar playing on this song, and even some so the solo was really good, and there was also twin guitar sections during the guitar solo, which really worked well. And also some of the fills sound a bit like Rambling Man from the Allman Brothers band, which sort of had, like, during sections of their songs, had the playing, and I go da-na-na after it, and it really fit well in the song. Next song is Beggin' Your Pardon, which, when I first started listening to this song, it's sort of I didn't like it when I first heard it, but the more and more, because to me it just didn't seem like it ever fit on the album, and the more I listened to it, is the more I actually started to really like this song. Good drum fills, soulful singing at the beginning, which is really, you don't really find it much on this album in certain parts. It's just sort of, the singing was really good in it, and they used weird Doors-esque section to the song. Like, that's what it just reminded me of. Great guitar solo, and there was an orgasm type section during the solo which really threw me off, but no, like, a lot of this album had some really great stuff in it, and I think this is one of the songs. Next song is Eternity in Between, which is a really good song. It psychedelic opening, which on this it's sort of a psychedelic, heavy psych slash garage punk type. I guess that's how they genred this album, but it was really good, and the singing on this was really good. Like, that's another part I can make about the album, is the singing was great on this album. Especially Welcome to the Void, where they start playing, and then right after everything it says, and welcome to the void. Really good, buddy. Eternity in Between had some great, it had good guitar solo-esque sections. Like, another thing about Morgan is you can never really tell when they're gonna go into a solo or when they're gonna go out of a solo, or it's just gonna go to singing. It's sort of one of those cliffhanger parts where you have to really think about it. And then they had a bell section, sort of. It sort of felt like bells put through like a lot of distortion pedals and all that. But it really worked well. And another thing about this is during the drum solo, it sort of felt like the drummer tried and went back and recreated and used a bit of Welcome to the Void to it. Like, if you really listen to it, you can hear sections of Welcome to the Void to this song. And yeah, that's it for Eternity in Between. Next song is Purple. Now, there was a great feedback section that sounded a lot like something Jimi Hendrix would do. The solo sounded very Jimi Hendrix-esque. It was a good mellow slash hard rock. Like, the lyrics were very, very mellow, but it was really hard rock. The solos were hard rock. And during the solo, there was a part in it where you just heard like a random scream, and I just love how they do this a lot. Just use the random scream to pretty much effectiveness. Next song on the album is one of my favorites off the album, She Is the Nighttime, which, great track. Good guitar opening and all that. It was very catchy. Like, that's another thing. Like, I'm reading from notes and all that, but it's really, really catchy, this album, or especially the song. Just, she is the nighttime, black flowers and sunshine. She is the nighttime. Like, that's the chorus. It's just really catchy. And then it goes like, she is light. And just a very mellow, normal part to the song, but it's once. And another thing about Morgan is they can be very mellow at one section and then just go into da 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 in his singing, and it just really works very, very well. Sounded also very, very poppy in sections, but the drumming was good. Like, the song is like, it was meant to be a single. I know they released this and Of Dreams as singles from the album, but yeah. Another last song on the album is called Love, which is a 10-minute epic normal psychedelic track. You can tell it's psychedelic. Great drum opening to it, which sort of was, it reminded me a lot of Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit with dun 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 dun, and it just reminded me of that. And the bass playing on this album was really, 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 really good. I enjoy the bass playing on the entire album. Like, for being a band that really didn't do all that much in the music world, this album was probably one of the greatest albums I've ever heard for that. Like, and for the first time on this entire album, I heard sort of a blues influence on it. Like, this album, you have to really search for a thing of blues to it and everything, but it worked really, 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 really well on this album. And the singing, the soloing, and the amazing drumming, like, for everyone who seems to really talk about great drummers, I think Bob Mainman of Morgan was one of the greatest rock drummers of his time. Like, I know people talk about John Bonham, they talk about Keith Moon. I think you could throw like Bob Maidman in there, and I like it also if certain songs of this is you hear a drum solo, which is really weird to hear. You hear a drum solo, which I really, really liked on certain songs. And now what happened to Morgan after this? Well, the big mystery is nobody knows what happened to Morgan after this album. It's really, really... nobody knows. Morgan's one of those bands that once this album was released and the album didn't do much, Probe Records was folded, and even try in Wikipedia or even try and find anything out about this band, everything I look up says nobody knows what happened to the members of the band. It's like they either died or just decided that, you know what, we did this and we just don't want to do it anymore. But yeah, if I was to give this album a rating, I'd actually give it a 10 out of 10. This album is... reason I put this out there is I'm trying to raise interest in this album, hopefully, so it can sort of be re-released, because for me, this is like art. And oh yes, and the cover is a painting by Edward Munch called The Scream, which was a very famous painting of the guy going like, and like it's all psychedelic trippy and all that. So no, there's certain parts to this album that really, I can't believe this album didn't get anything for sales or much, or even anything. It has been re-released by minor labels in the past, but I'm just not able to find the album. And that's my review of Morgan's 1969 self-titled release. I hope to maybe do another review here of a band called Toad, which is another really obscure band from the late 60s, early 70s, who were, in my opinion, released some of the greatest blues rock of the time. Like, they were one of the... in my opinion, I'd much rather listen to Toad than listen to anything Led Zeppelin ever did. So that's my opinion, and yeah, that's my review. Peace.
Do I love her, or do I just want to touch her? Do I need her, or is my need to be with her in a fight? She's so nice to look at, gently combing her hair. There's a feeling that circulates